Alright guys, today I'm in the back of the coupe, and here is the rear window for the back of the coupe, and this rear window is not going up and down. This button doesn't work, nor does the button up on the center console. So what I'm doing now, I'm going to take this apart and inspect the motor, and it's a little tricky to get this rear door panel off. The first thing you got to do, you stick a tool. See, there's my little plastic pry tools. You kind of wedge that behind the felt and you pop off. See, there's the clip there, and there's one right up there too, and you pop off the front of this, and then you kind of pull forward and up like at an angle, and this will actually come off. And you see there's a clip there. That clip actually goes here. See it? See, it's angled compared to the car. So you can see you gotta pull forward and up like in a diagonal angle. And then there's two clips at the bottom right there that clip into the door panel. So that's the trick. A lot of guys break that clip by trying to wedge this off of here, but the motion, and sometimes you can get a bigger pry bar like that one right there and tuck it around the bottom and kind of push up as you pull. But the direction it needs to go is the front comes off first right here, and then you go forward and up in that direction. And of course the seat belt, I didn't unbolt the seat belt, so the seat belt is still in there. So this is hard to do in the back of the car while I'm holding the camera, but I'm gonna just get some slack into the seat belt so I can lay this up in the back window. Alright, I now have that in the rear window. That way I don't have to unbolt the seat belt bolt that's right there. Next thing you want to do to get this panel off. Oh, and keep in mind I have the back seats out. You need the back seats out to do this correctly. And they're just up there in front of the car. You can see there's one of the seats right there. So the next thing you want to do is take off the chrome trim. I've already taken out one of them. Sorry for the shaky video. I'm in the back of a coupe trying to show you guys this. Alright, and I think we got another bolt right there. So let me go ahead and take that third one out, and then I'm going to pop this plate off. Okay, still in the back of the car. This is as far back as my camera will zoom. Not much room back here. But once you have the sail panel off, the service manual says grab right here, and you pull, there you go, you pull out, and there you go. It detaches. There you go, we're detached now from the car. See, it just pops loose. So that's loose. Now what we got to do is unbolt the seat belt right there. And what's interesting, underneath this little flap, there's a little coil spring that goes around that piece that goes around the bolt. So you got to pop those out first. So now I'm just going to unscrew that so I can then pull the seat belt through the panel. Alright, I'm outside the car now. You can see the seat belt has been disconnected. Now, the seat belt, of course, it bolts right there. The seat belt, of course, bolts right there. See, there's a bolt hole. Now, on the back of the seat belt, you have this little washer. It's like a spacer. It actually, so it allows it to pivot, allows the seat belt to pivot, and the bolt doesn't press it all the way into the floorboard. And then the bolt, of course, that's on the back of the seat belt like that, and the bolt comes through the other side of the seat belt hole like that. So anyway, now the service manual says once that's out, you see that little clip there and that little metal strip right there? Service manual says to pry that out with a plastic tool. Now I'm going to need a sturdier, I'm going to need a screwdriver because plastic tool is not going to be strong enough. Also, this little piece can fold back, and you can see how, you can see this side of the clip here and the side of the clip on the back. And that metal piece is in the clip. So you need to pry that up, and then that panel can come off. So let me get a screwdriver. I'm going to go ahead. I've actually got a small one right here. Let's see if this small one will do any. There we go. See? There we go. See how that starts to lift out of there? Those clips come off. So I need to go ahead and do that with both hands, and I'm gonna then pull the panel up so I can get it off and get access to the motor, which is not working. You guys saw me pry that first clip off, and once you get the first one off, those are the same clips that are on the door panel. And once you get the first one off, it'll give you enough leverage where you don't rip the panel. You can actually put your hand in there and then grab down here, and you can just firmly lift up on the panel, and it'll pop out of the other clips. And you can see the other clips. Let's see, there's one right there. It stayed on the window, and there's the other one. Let me see if I can turn off the light and shine it through the glass. And there you go. You see the little mark where these were down in those clips? That's the metal tab on the back of the door panel. So once you have that done, you can feed the seat belt through there, and there we go. Now I did it without disconnecting the motor because they give you enough room to do it without disconnecting the motor. Now you can of course remove the panel without disconnecting the motor, but you can get behind it. And let me get back in the car here, and there we go. There's our access panel to the motors. So I need to pop that off, get this panel out of the way. I'll undo the switch down there so I can do that. Okay, here's the rear door panel removed. You see there's the armrest and the window switch. It's very dusty. It's an Arizona car, so there's dust everywhere. But then you can just stick a screwdriver in between the plug, and you can pop that plug out. And that is the plug. Oh, and also I fed the seat belt through. Now I'm going to get back in the car here. It'll be much easier with the front seats out too. All right. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that switch out of there so I can just plug the switch in right here and test this. So I'm going to take off these panels here, and we're going to see where that motor is and why it's not working. Because I can do this with you guys on the video. A mechanic, a one-handed mechanic. Come on, get out of there. There's some goop behind there. All right. And what I'm guessing is that there could be, oh man, here we go. Oh, sorry, it's hard to hold you guys in the shot because I'm not looking at the camera. There we go. And there is your motor. All right, let me go ahead and take this off. There we go. I did it without breaking any of the foam seal behind there. That's good. So I'm going to get the motor, take out, or I'm sorry, I'm going to get the window switch out of the panel, plug it into here, and we're going to see why we can't get this thing moving, see what's going on there. Alright, to remove the actual switch, so there's some trim around the switch. These tabs here are the trim around the switch. See, there's black trim around. You don't need to remove that. You just need to remove the switch. And you see that little tab right there? There's one on the front side and the back side right in there. So you just stick a screwdriver in there and press that tab on both sides while you're pushing on the switch, and you can push the switch through. And that way we leave the trim in there. Let me turn this back over here. And there we go. We have our switch. So I'm guessing, yeah, look at that. See how it's sticking? I'm going to go clean this switch out with some Deox and see if we can repair that. All right, let's go ahead. This stuff is great. It's made for electrical components. We just spray it all down in there. Yeah, it's sticking a little bit there. So we're just going to work it, and that's going to clean the contacts. Let's get another couple of squirts in there. Alright guys, after spraying Deox in the switch, I got no action from the window. So the motor, to test the motor, it's the green wire and the black wire. And this one here is the green, there's the black, or vice versa. And so what I'm going to do, I have my little jump booster, puts out 12 volts. And I'm going to plug that in, and let's see, I'm going to hook this one, stick that lead in there. So this motor, there we go. Nothing wrong with that motor or regulator. And so that tells me it's the switch. So I just need to go take that switch apart and clean it up. Alright, so I'm going to try to pry this window switch apart. Looks like you can come in here from the side and pop out the button. And if I break it, I'm just going to have to order another window switch. But I'd like to see if I can repair this one, just for the fun of it. I'm going to get in there, pop that side out. Okay. Awesome. Alright, that came right out of there. It looks like, I don't know what you guys can see. Looks like there's two little springs in there. And there's actually, oh yeah, okay, let's see if I can point this out. See, there's a little ball bearing right there and right there. Those what it roll on the switch. Those springs go over those ball bearings, and it rocks back and forth on those ball bearings and hits the contacts. Be interesting to plug this switch up and just press the contacts down and see what happens. So I'm going to drop those ball bearings out right there. Okay, here's one of the little rockers. Okay. I'm going to pop out this rocker over here too. Alright, let's pop both those rockers out. God, it's so clean in there. Can't imagine what's wrong with this switch. I don't see any problems. See if I can focus in on that. Yeah, it's so clean in there. There is a little resistor right here. I'm sure that's for the light bulb. These little springs just come out right there. Nothing wrong with those. So I'm actually just going to spray some deox in there. And yeah, I see absolutely nothing wrong with this switch. So I'm going to spray some deox in there and see if we can put it back together and see what happens. Alright, I'm going to go hit that with a little compressed air. I'll be right back. Okay, I just hit that with compressed air, and you guys can see it is perfectly clean in there. I'm just going to clean that up a little bit, the Scotch-Brite pad. That actually sounds a whole lot better than it did. So I don't know if this is going to work. I'm going to put it back in the car and we'll see. And we now have the window working. And while I'm back here, I've gone ahead and thrown some grease in some critical areas to make sure it continues working. And whoops, I got a little grease right there. And so I've serviced this rear window. Also took apart the switch and cleaned it just so that won't happen again. But the light lights up when you turn the headlights on, and we are back in business on this rear window. So I'm going to go ahead and reassemble everything. Okay, I've got the dusty door panel back on. I need to clean all that dust off. And got the sail panel back on, and the window switch back in, and this door is this window is fully lubricated. I'm going to leave the back seats out because we're going to suspension next, and to change the rear shocks I'll need to get back there. The rear shocks, there's a little cover right there that needs to pop off to access the shocks. So I'll do that and save that for the next video. But mission accomplished on restoring the switch and lubricating the window. Okay, so I got the 85-300 CD antenna back today. If you remember, the motor worked, but nothing happened when you turn on the radio. So I sent it to my buddy Franco, and he diagnosed the circuit board and found, I think, 2 diodes and a capacitor that were no good. So he replaced those and just sent it back. And what I've done, I've gotten a little grease, and I've just put a dab of grease on the worm gear right there. Doesn't take much, just to re-grease it up. And we're going to snap the lid back on and put it back in the car. Alright, what we also have here is an original Mercedes brand antenna grommet. Don't use that aftermarket crap because it doesn't fit right. But these original ones, they go in correctly and they fit correctly. You gotta push it down. See, there's actually a little lip here. Let's see if I can show that. There you go. See that little lip? So it pushes down through the car, and then that little lip pinches around the sheet metal to seal it. And the aftermarket ones don't work with a crap. So get original Mercedes. They're like $9 versus $6. Okay, I've pushed the little grommet through there. I found the easiest way to do that the antenna is not in there, of course, but you come up from the bottom and you force it through, and that catches that the bottom lip, and then you can pull the top lip over. See, here's the top lip, because when you're going through the top, it's harder. I like pushing it up from the bottom, and then you push the antenna through there, and the ball on the tip of the antenna seats inside this grommet. So we have everything reconnected. There's the mount for the antenna. There is the ground for the antenna. And there's the actual antenna signal back there. And then, of course, our power plug on the top of the Hirschman antenna. And that's cool. This still has that the original like little foam protective lining hanging on there. You never see that. It's usually just long gone. That's kind of cool. I'm just going to leave it right there. So let's go ahead and start up the car, or turn on the radio, and see if this antenna is any good. Alright, moment of truth here. I'm just going to go to accessory position and turn the radio on, and bam! Yes, the antenna came up. Well, let's go ahead and go all the way up. Oh, it needs to be lubricated. Come on, baby. There it goes. Oh, that is an old antenna. There it goes. That is probably the first time that's come up, and all right. So I'm going to probably put a new antenna mast on there. Well, guys, I forgot to record as I was inserting the new antenna mast. But to do this correctly, you need to take the cover off and just hook up power. I think it's pin 2 and 6, because you need to, and you unscrew the mast. I guess that's the housing, and you take it all out so you can get the mast started right down here. You want to get it proper, the teeth facing the correct way in the gear, and then you want to reassemble the mast housing and make sure it goes in correctly. You don't want to do this on the car, because it just won't. You can do it on the car. I've seen it done, but it's just not the right way to do it. So we're going to go ahead and get this properly screwed down in there. You can see it's not fully installed yet. The mast is still. Let's see if I can get a better angle here for you guys. And then you want to apply power, and that'll run the mast back down in there. Just put my switch back in there. And I'm going to finish screwing this in here. Okay, there we go. So the mast is now properly installed. Take off my 12-volt power here. I just use one of these little batteries for one of my drills, and I just put 2 connectors in there and hook alligator clips to it. Alright, so we're going to get this installed, put the cover back on, and install it back in the car. Back in the car, I'm going to go ahead and turn on the car, or turn it to accessory power, and then turn on the radio. And there we go. We have a correctly extending radio. Now I'm going to use the manual antenna control, and I'm going to lower it, let's say halfway. There we go. Now we're at halfway. Let's go down a little lower. So we have full manual control. Let's go back up a little bit. Let's go all the way back up. So the manual control operates perfectly. And if I turn off the radio it automatically retracts. And there we go, guys. That is a correctly refurbished, it's not some aftermarket crap, original Hirschman antenna that came with the car. And I put a new mast in there. You guys saw the other mast was binding. So this one's good to go.